So, could you tell us a little bit about your organisation, Steinhoff?
Yes, Steinhoff are a business that looks at retail around the world. They're predominantly split between two areas, Northern Hemisphere and Southern Hemisphere. Southern Hemisphere is about production, raw materials, and they transport the materials to Eastern Europe, where they're usually produced into something that we can sell in Western Europe. So it's a vertical integration business. And we're really a small piece in the organisation in the UK. We're quite a large business, having brands as Bensons, Harvey's and Cargo Home Shop. But we've got a lot of European partners, and really to give a scale of the whole business, we employ roughly 90,000 people worldwide.
Wow, wow. And tell us a little bit about your role within the Steinhoff Group.
I look after human resources and development for the UK under the banner Steinhoff UK Retail. So I look after Harvey's, Bensons and Cargo. And we really support and take forward our retail brands. And we have also a separate services section in the UK that looks after our logistics side.
And when you were first looking at taking your training online, what started you thinking about the online academy concept?
The biggest and the main reason was that our business grew rapidly. We've gone through a lot of mergers within the group, and our business grew from, when I joined the business 11, 12 years ago, from 30, 40 stores, and we're now at 500 units within the UK. So we got to a point 2.5, 3 years ago where we physically couldn't visit all of our stores and get our message across, and certainly work on people's development. So the only way to do that was digitally, really. And we looked around and we found the product that we thought would work for us, and that's where growth engineering came in.
Fantastic. And in terms of the specific problems that you were trying to solve, what were some of the biggest challenges you were trying to solve with the academy?
The biggest thing was getting a consistent, what we were trying to do when the businesses came together was to get a consistent approach to our sales process. Because the businesses had been merged together and we had different cultures and different processes, it also meant we had a larger turnover in the business. So to deliver a training course face to face was fine, and we got around the country and almost killed ourselves trying to do that, because we had locations from Inverness in the north to Broadstairs in the south, and over in Northern Ireland and down through the south of Wales. So we ran as many courses as we could, but the cost was excessive, and to be fair, because the businesses had come together and the attrition had increased while we got the processes right, you were delivering a course and not getting to the end of the line because people were being replaced quicker than we could deliver the course. So we couldn't get the message, the sale process out there in the speed we needed to. So we needed to address that by delivering that digitally almost overnight and making sure people had that process day one when they started with the business.
Interesting, interesting. So gamification plays a big role in your academy. Why did you decide to incorporate elements of gamification into your academy at LMS, and how do you think it works?
Well, we got to the point where we thought it was almost essential, because our guys who are out in the stores are proper retail salespeople, and their key focus is earning money for themselves. So if anything takes attention away from earning money, then it has to be worthwhile, or at least has to be fun. And giving them the platform and just giving them a platform that instructed them to do something wasn't working. So we had to give them something that really caught their attention and drove their imagination and made them want to play along and want to do something. So it was really the only way to get the guys to do it without actually going out there and beating them up. They needed to do it for themselves, they needed to do it and enjoy it, and that's where the gamification came in.
So in terms of the learning journey that you've gone on, obviously, you know, there are challenges and perhaps sort of problems that you might have encountered when you were starting up your academy platform. What can you give us, can you illuminate any of the challenges that you faced and how they were overcome?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of points that with hindsight you feel that actually we've learned quite a lot in the 2.5, 3 years we've been doing this, is that you can't just turn it on and it does it itself, because you've got to put as much effort in as an employer as the employees have. You expect them to do all the work and sit there and go through the programs and develop themselves, but if you sit in a room and just hope that by loading a piece of work up that's going to make the difference, you've got to do as much in the background, and you've got to make sure the content is interesting and it's fresh and it's new all the time. So it's effort at both ends that needs to be put in. And I think it's just really understanding that people do it for enjoyment purposes, and you've got to make sure that it's bright and it's fresh. And we probably took it for granted that if we just turned it on originally, it was fine. Everything was going to work itself out. And we didn't make it bright enough, we didn't make it fresh enough, we didn't gamify it, if that's a word enough. And once we'd got to that point and we made all that happen, then we got the success.
Fantastic. And in terms of some of the things that you're most proud of in terms of what you've achieved, what kind of things are you most proud of?
It's a difficult question, but I think it's a really simple answer. The thing I'm most proud of is that people want to do it. And when I look now, if I look at the last 12 months figures and see that we've had, we've got, in the last 12 months we've had 1,000 people that we've been working and working through the system, which has now increased significantly. But for that last 12 months, for those 1,000 people, we're approaching 12, 13,000 log-ons. And that means people really want to do it, because I couldn't make people do that. And it must mean that they're having fun, and it must mean that it's constructive and it's doing something for them. And when I go into my store locations and speak to my people, they talk to me about it, and they talk to me about me being on it and my photograph being on it, and it seems to be the centre of what people want to do. So it's become this kind of hub, this central point where we can add things that we want to talk about, we get feedback from it, and it's certainly made a performance better.
And in terms of, could you just elaborate a bit more on that, in terms of what you've actually achieved for the organisation? What kind of things do you think have been achieved for the Steinhoff?
If we go back 2.5 years, 2.5 years ago we brought 3 businesses together in Sleep Masters, Bensons for Beds and Bedshed. 2 of those businesses were not making a profit. One was making a profit, a decent profit, but not massive. And we were asked to put those 3 businesses into one and take that forward and make it profitable for Steinhoff. 2.5 years ago, we started the academy with a piece we called Best, which was a change management piece, really, just to get people to know what our message was going to be, how we were going to move forward as one, as a team. And we delivered that, and we continued to use the academy, and we continued to let it grow. And we're at a point now, 2.5 years on, where anywhere between 70 and 90% of the content has been used by our sales areas. So we're getting to the point where we've got to work harder to put more stuff on. But if you look at how the business has progressed in that time, the 3 combined businesses were making a double-digit £1 million loss. And 2.5 years on, in a market that has been suffering terribly, we've had competitors go out of business, and people aren't spending the money. We're now 2.5 years on, like I say, with a double-digit £1 million profit.
Wow.
We're really proud of what we've achieved, but it can't be a coincidence that our academy, our e-learning platform, has been a part of that from the inception of the new Bensons for Beds, which was a brand we went with, to where we are now.
So Noel, what's your vision for the future of the academy?
I think version 2 for us is we've moved on as a business now. We've made a success of the bed division of Steinhoff in the UK, and now we've introduced furniture and Harveys into my responsibility area. So it's about going back to the business now as a combined unit of furniture and beds, and delivering a product that makes sense, it's future-proof, and it makes sense for both brands. So both brands have individual personality, but how do we deliver something that works efficiently for both brands without making either brand feel left out? So we're going to completely rebrand, we're going to have a look at it, we're going to start from scratch and learn from what we've done in the past and make it bigger and better than we ever have. It still links and is part of our overall blended offering that we do with our guys. We see them out there, we do workshops, we do face-to-face training. It's very, very important we reinforce what we do, but what we actually need to do now is make reflective learning part of what we deliver for the next 12, 18 months, and we will deliver pre-course work via the academy. we will deliver the workshop and do the face-to-face and have the interaction, which I think is valuable. And then we'll wrap that up and reinforce that again through the academy at the end. All under a new guise, all under a new system that everybody feels part of because they're with us at the start of the birth of this new system.
Fantastic, sounds very exciting. So in terms of advice that you could give other companies that are looking to go online, to take their training and learning develop online, what advice would you give them?
I think just be very, very clear about what your requirements are. Don't do it because it sounds great. It is great, but don't do it because it sounds great. Do it because your needs in your business make sure it fits. And I would always say use it as a part of a blended approach because then everybody gets the benefit of everything you could possibly do. But yeah, be very clear. Make sure you put in at your end as much effort as the candidates put in on their side, because if you don't, then they'll burn the system up very, very quickly and you'll be left with nothing and people will go off the boil. You've got to really make sure that there's something fresh there every week, every month for them, something that will keep them interested, something that's ongoing.
And finally, just a parting thought, given the total investment that you've made in your Academy LMS, what return on investment do you think that you've actually got back?
I think I'd probably have an argument with my FD over what that was. But when you look at the investment, it's minimal compared to the performance increase that we've seen in business. As I said earlier on, the performance increase has been huge in a really flat market. And it is no fluke that our L&D programme and our academy have been part of that performance increase. And it's not just been about performance increase in kind of cash value, even though I think it's more than paid for itself. It's been about the engagement levels and how people feel and how people are branded. So it's not just about saying I work for Bensons, it's about feeling part of a team and they're in this online environment where they're in contact and they can see what each other are doing and they can watch the league tables and they just feel really part. And you can see it in the guys now. The guys who came from one of the businesses that wasn't linked to Bensons before are now the biggest champions of Bensons. They've become completely engaged and proud and they're quite defensive if anybody says anything about our business, where 2.5 years ago they didn't really care, didn't really matter to them. So it's been part of a whole package. Yes, it's paid for itself. Yes, it's made the business successful, but most importantly, it's made the staff engaged and happy to work where they work.
Fantastic. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.